for it. He removes himself from small thinkers, negative talkers, and comfort addicts because environment shapes belief and belief shapes behavior. Every failure becomes instruction. Every delay fuels discipline because persistence is not optional. It is the price, and discipline is not motivation. It is obedience to a decision made when emotion was high. This is not easy, and it is not meant for everyone. But if a man will decide clearly, act relentlessly, think independently, and persist endlessly, riches have no choice but to answer him. Poverty is not lack of money, it's lack of decision, because the moment a person truly decides that their current condition is unacceptable, their entire mind begins to reorganize itself around escape. But most people never decide. They complain, they wish, they fantasize, yet they keep one foot safely planted in the life they claim to hate, and that hesitation is the real poverty, because money does not avoid people who are broke. It avoids people who are unsure, unclear, and undecided. The world only responds to certainty, and certainty is rare. That is why riches are rare. A man who gets rich from nothing is not blessed by luck. He is possessed by decision. He reaches a point where hunger becomes louder than fear, and desire becomes stronger than doubt. And from that moment on, his thinking changes. He no longer asks, "Can I?" He asks, "How must I?" And that question forces the mind to search for answers, opportunities, and paths that were invisible before, because the brain only reveals solutions to problems it believes must be solved, not problems it casually considers. Most people dabble with success the same way they dabble with the gym or discipline, with enthusiasm that fades the moment discomfort arrives. But wealth demands obsession, not interest. Obsession is staying when motivation dies. Obsession is working when applause is absent. Obsession is persisting when results are delayed, and persistence is the dividing line between those who dream and those who dominate. Understand this clearly. Effort alone does not create riches. Millions of people work hard and stay poor because effort without direction is exhaustion. Riches come for own value, and value comes from solving problems that matter to people who can pay. Which means the man who wants wealth must train his mind to think in terms of service, leverage, and scale, not survival, not hourly labor, not comfort. He must stop trading time for money and start trading thinking for money, ideas for money, systems for money. And this requires discipline so severe it offends average minds, discipline to think daily about one chief aim, discipline to say no to distractions that feel good but lead nowhere, discipline to repeat boring actions long after excitement disappears, because excitement never built empires, consistency did, and along the journey failure is guaranteed. But failure is not punishment. It is instruction. Each setback refines the plan, sharpens the mind, and strengthens belief if the individual refuses to quit, but most quit early because they expect quick validation. They want proof before persistence, not realizing persistence creates the proof. Faith is not something you wait for. It is something you manufacture through repeated action. Action taken in uncertainty builds confidence, and confidence compounds into belief. And belief fuels more action, until momentum forms, and momentum is unstoppable. But momentum only comes to those who stay long enough. Environment plays a ruthless role here, because no one rises permanently in an environment that constantly pulls them down. Small minds poison big visions, comfort kills hunger, and association determines aspiration, which is why anyone serious about wealth must be willing to walk alone for a while, misunderstood, criticized, doubted, because approval is the enemy of greatness and security is the enemy of riches. This path is not fair, and it is not gentle. It demands sacrifice, delayed gratification, and an unshakable refusal to return to the life you escaped from. Because nothing is more dangerous than partial success. It tempts you to stop growing. But the man who truly decides never negotiates with his old self. He burns the bridge, commits fully, and persists until results arrive. Not because it is easy, but because quitting is no longer an option. And when decision becomes final, action becomes automatic, persistence becomes natural, and riches become inevitable. Getting rich starts with obsession, not balance, because balance is a luxury sold to people who are afraid of committing fully to anything meaningful. And obsession is what separates those who escape ordinary life from those who spend their entire existence managing it. The truth most people avoid is that nothing extraordinary is built in moderation. No empire, no fortune, no legacy was created by someone carefully protecting comfort, time, and energy. Equally, wealth demands imbalance. It demands that for a period of your life, you care more than others, work longer than others, think deeper than others, and tolerate pressure that others run from. Yet society teaches people to seek balance before they have anything worth balancing, which creates average outcomes and frustrated lives. Obsession is not madness. It is focused intensity directed at one clear objective until results appear. And without it, desire stays weak and ambition stays theoretical. The man who gets rich from nothing becomes consumed by his aim, not emotionally unstable, but mentally locked in. His mind returns to the goal repeatedly, automatically, even when distracted, because obsession trains the subconscious to hunt for opportunities everywhere. While a balanced mind looks for rest, entertainment, and escape, obsession rewires priorities. Suddenly wasting time feels painful, distractions feel expensive, and excuses feel insulting, because every minute not invested in the mission feels like betrayal of the future self. And this level of focus scares people, which is why they label it unhealthy. But what is truly unhealthy is spending decades trapped in financial stress pretending balance will save you. Obsession creates momentum, and momentum silences doubt, because doubt survives in idle minds. But obsession leaves no room for hesitation. It replaces overthinking with action and fear with repetition. The obsessed individual studies relentlessly, experiments aggressively, and applies immediately, not waiting for perfect conditions, not seeking permission, not asking for approval, because obsession does not negotiate with uncertainty. It moves through it, and through this movement skills are built, confidence is earned, and competence compounds. Most people want motivation, but obsession does not rely on motivation. It relies on commitment. Motivation fades when results delay. Obsession persists because quitting is not emotionally available as an option, and that persistence is what transforms ordinary ideas into profitable outcomes. Understand this clearly. Obsession is temporary. Poverty is permanent if you avoid it. The imbalance required to build wealth does not last forever, but the freedom it creates does. Yet people reject short-term obsession because they fear judgment, loneliness, and discomfort, not realizing that judgment passes. Loneliness is temporary, and discomfort is the price of growth. While regret lasts a lifetime, obsession forces sacrifices, but sacrifice is simply prioritizing what matters most. It means saying no to parties to say yes to progress, saying no to comfort to say yes to competence, and saying no to distractions to say yes to direction. And direction is what most people lack. They are busy but unfocused, active but unproductive, exhausted yet broke, because effort without obsession scatters energy across too many targets. Wealth demands concentration, one main pursuit, one dominating purpose, applied with relentless intensity. And when mistakes happen, obsession does not retreat, it recalibrates. Failure does not discourage the obsessed mind. It educates it. Every loss becomes feedback. Every delay sharpens strategy, and every rejectio. End strengthens resolve, because obsession ties identity to improvement, not outcomes, which makes the individual anti-fragile. The environment responds differently to obsessed people. Opportunities appear because energy attracts attention. People offer help because clarity inspires confidence, and resources flow toward those who demonstrate seriousness through action. But balance seekers send mixed signals, uncertain energy, half commitment, which produces half results. Obsession builds belief, not through affirmations, but through evidence. Small wins earned through persistent action compound into unshakable confidence, and confidence accelerates execution. This cycle continues until success becomes predictable rather than accidental. But obsession also demands discipline, because without discipline, obsession becomes chaos. True obsession is controlled fire, directed effort, structured intensity, daily routines that reinforce progress, even when emotions fluctuate, and this is why obsession outperforms talent, luck, and intelligence, because disciplined obsession keeps showing up, keeps refining, keeps executing while others stop, and eventually the gap becomes irreversible, and at that point people call it overnight success, ignoring the years of imbalance that made it inevitable. Getting rich does not require balance at the start. It requires obsession, because balance maintains life. Obsession transforms it. And those who are willing to be obsessed temporarily earn the freedom to live balanced permanently, while those who cling to balance early remain trapped managing survival forever. Desire must become a burning, unreasonable demand because weak wishes accomplish nothing. A casual want produces casual results, and most people think they want wealth when all they feel is a passing interest or a polite hope. But real riches never bend to polite hopes. They respond only to a fire that consumes the mind. The man who truly escapes nothing is obsessed with his vision until it becomes irrational, until it overrides comfort, doubt, and fear. Desire alone is not enough. It must escalate into an urgent, intolerable demand, a force so relentless that doing nothing becomes impossible. Living without pursuit feels like suffocation, and failure to act becomes a source of shame rather than neutrality. This kind of desire does not negotiate with excuses. It does not wait for perfect timing. It forces the mind to create solutions, opportunities, and strategies where none existed before. The ordinary mind will say, "I want to be rich," and continue scrolling. The extraordinary mind says, "I must be rich," and refuses to pause until it is. This unreasonable demand generates energy, focus, and persistence that cannot be manufactured by discipline alone. When desire becomes that powerful, procrastination dies, hesitation is crushed, and fear no longer dictates choices. Every waking hour is dominated by the question, "How do I make this happen?" And every action measured against that standard. The individual rewires habits, associates only with people who fuel progress, rejects distractions that dilute energy, and prioritizes learning, networking, and problem-solving above temporary pleasure. The fire of desire also transforms perception. It turns obstacles into challenges, scarcity into opportunity, rejection into feedback, because the mind becomes incapable of accepting limits, and every no encountered only fuels determination. An unreasonable demand forces audacity, the kind of bold moves most people label reckless but are essential for disproportionate rewards. Risk is no longer optional. Calculated risk becomes instinct because inaction becomes far more painful than potential loss. The obsessed mind calculates consequences quickly and prioritizes action, while ordinary minds remain paralyzed by fear of imperfection. This is why millionaires and innovators rarely look conventional. They act disproportionately to their circumstances, driven by the burning insistence that failure is unacceptable and their desire shapes reality. Because persistent, intense demand provokes external response, resources align, opportunities appear, connections form, and luck becomes predictable. But desire alone is not magic. It must be combined with clarity, a specific vision, actionable plan, and consistent execution. Vague wanting produces nothing, but a vivid, unreasonable demand focuses the mind like a laser, cutting through distraction, cutting through indecision, cutting through mediocrity, and every step taken under this pressure compounds exponentially. Persistence under this fire becomes automatic, because giving up is not a choice. The mind has been trained to resist complacency, and every failure encountered is no longer a deterrent, but a tool for recalibration. Discipline is born naturally, because obsession with the demand consumes all energy that would otherwise leak into trivial pursuits. The unreasonable demand rewires psychology, physiology, and environment. It forces you to wake early, think longer, work harder, and sacrifice gladly. It forces negotiation only with facts, not emotions, and in this state, creativity expands. Because the mind is under pressure, urgency sharpens insight, and hunger drives innovation. The ordinary man avoids pressure. The extraordinary man embraces it because desire has made demand unavoidable. This is the secret ignored by the masses. The bigger the demand, the stronger the force that drives action. The clearer the vision, the faster the progress and the more inevitable the results. Nothing can resist a person whose desire has become unreasonable, because the fire is internal, relentless, and self-sustaining. It does not wait for external validation, does not stop for setbacks, does not negotiate with fear. It consumes comfort and excuses alike. It transforms thinking, habits, and decisions. It reshapes identity until the individual becomes the kind of person who must, who will, who cannot fail, and at that point wealth is no longer a possibility or a dream. It is the inevitable outcome of a mind that has refused to remain small, refused to accept limits, refused to live with half effort, because desire has become a burning, unreasonable demand, and the world always responds to fire. Clear goals beat talent, luck, and education, because talent is wasted without direction, luck is fleeting, and education only informs the mind. Goals, however, give purpose to action, focus to energy, and structure to ambition. Most people wander through life hoping their natural abilities or random chance will deliver wealth. Yet the truth is that without clarity, effort scatters, opportunities are missed, and even the brightest minds accomplish little. A man with talent but no goal is like a gun without a target, capable of power but aimless. A lucky person without a goal drifts, squanders advantages, and leaves fortune to randomness, and educated individuals who lack focus spend years acquiring knowledge they never apply. Yet the person with a clear, defined goal approaches every day with a roadmap, every action measured against a benchmark, every decision filtered through the lens of purpose. Goals create obsession. Obsession creates action. Action produces results, and results reinforce belief. Without clear goals, momentum never forms. Energy leaks into distraction, and hesitation dominates choices. A well-defined goal transforms abstract desire into concrete steps. It forces the mind to identify resources, seek mentors, analyze markets, and anticipate obstacles. Clarity sharpens vision, and clarity drives accountability. People often overestimate talent, hope for luck, or rely on education, but clarity trumps all because it aligns thought and behavior. Goals are not wishes. They are contracts with the self, specifying exactly what must be achieved and by when. And this specificity eliminates doubt, excuses, and indecision. The individual with a clear goal develops a mental map that guides action through uncertainty. Every small success becomes feedback, every failure becomes instruction, and progress compounds as focus intensifies. Talent may open doors, but goals build the staircase. Luck may nudge opportunity, but goals convert it into achievement. And education may provide tools, but goals direct how those tools are used to create value. Clarity also generates confidence, because knowing the destination reduces fear of the unknown. It removes the paralysis that comes from scattered thought, and it replaces hesitation with purpose. When the goal is crystal clear, the mind prioritizes automatically, time is allocated ruthlessly, and energy is reserved for high-leverage tasks that produce measurable results. The distracted and uncommitted waste energy on trivia, social validation, or short-term comfort. But those with clear goals understand that every choice either accelerates them toward the target or delays progress. Cheech. Here is no neutral ground. The clarity of a goal forces the individual to act decisively, to persist relentlessly, and to innovate constantly. Obstacles are no longer deterrents, but challenges to be solved. Setbacks are not reasons to quit, but signals to adjust. Because a defined objective creates a mental framework for problem-solving, strategic thinking, and adaptive execution, clarity also shapes perception.